So we're going to talk about academies in the total football community, but probably focusing maybe on the English Premier League and how absolutely awful they all are. Now, there will be some people, morons I generally call them, that try to explain how we've had a player from our academy come through every single year since whatever made-up thing you're going to talk about. When I'm talking about a player coming through the academy, what I'm talking about is that player coming through the under-10s, under-12s, 15s, up through the reserves or whatever they call under-23s now, which is absolutely stupid. And onto the first team. If you're not producing a top player every single year who's coming through to your first team, and when I say to your first team, I don't mean he's starting and taking the best position or he's a new world superstar and a world beater. I mean, he's in that squad rotation for the first team. Might not be on the bench, could be on the bench, could be playing some of those cup games or coming in, but he's in the rotation of the first team at some point. If you're not doing that year in, year out, you are basically telling me that your entire academy rate is 100% failure. Your worst successful rate than the weathermen that talk about, it's going to rain tomorrow, whatever nonsense they get wrong. You actually got the worst success rate than them. That's how bad they are at their job. Think about that for a second. Premier League football clubs don't have academies or academy coaches that actually do their job. Their whole purpose is to buy in new talent because that's all they do. Now, whether or not you want to argue about that or not, that's the actual truth. The facts when you look at them through. You look through all the Premier League clubs. They're looking to strengthen in the January transfer. They're looking to strengthen in here. Well, how have you not been strengthening for the last 5 years in your academy? You've had 5 years since those kids were 15 to 20 to strengthen those kids and make them first-team quality players. You've had 5 years. What have you been doing for 5 years? And then you try to turn around and they try to explain how wonderful coaches like Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho are, except for their defenders can't defend. Well, teach them. It's your job. Mourinho's complaining about not having enough defenders, or you've had one defender go out and your entire system is destroyed. If your best defender goes out, your centre-back, your leader, your partnership, right, you don't move your defensive midfielder out of there. You change the way you're playing just until you can actually adapt to fit the players you have. The worst coaches go, I'm playing this way regardless. I don't have the personnel. I don't have the backing. I don't understand why we're not winning. Well, because you don't have that player anymore. You could play that way because you had certain players. When you don't have those certain players, you can't play that way. You have to play the way that the players you've got can fit. When you don't do that, bad manager. It's that simple. You can adapt over time and plug that gap with other things, but you don't go out and play a system that is just awful, knowing that system's awful for the players that you have. It just doesn't make logical sense. So let's go back to the academy and why they're absolutely atrocious. And there's many other topics I'll comment on over time, like loaning out players is also another stupid thing that people do. My player needs to do this. We need to loan out players. One of the worst things you can have as a football player is you've got a bad habit. To coach out a bad habit is almost impossible. So if you send a player on loan to a coach who doesn't understand what he's doing or some other aspect of what he's doing, what ends up happening is he can pick up a bad habit and you cannot coach that bad habit out of him. So that coach has particularly ruined him. He's done. It's over because of that stupid little habit that you had no chance over because he was on loan somewhere else. And now you're going, well, that guy's career is ruined because every time he goes out wide, what he does is he takes 2 extra stutter steps and he cuts back inside when he doesn't actually look at the situation anymore. Because when he was on loan, he was really, really fast, and what they used to do is make him do a wide arcing run, play the ball in behind, he'd run on and go 1v1 or try to put the ball across the net without looking at the situation that he was actually addressing. So he constantly does this one component thing wrong, and he's always going to now. Theo Walcott, for instance. Let's talk about bad coaching, and we're going to go over Theo Walcott. While he came through an academy with all this mad potential, but again, awful coaching through the academy system. When he came up to that first team, they didn't continue his progression. He was the same player when he moved off from Arsenal over to Everton as he was when he came to Arsenal. Loads of pace, couldn't touch a ball, couldn't control a ball, couldn't run with the ball. Theo Walcott, this new kiddie, what's his name, Rashford at United, he's going to do exactly the same. He can run with the ball a bit, he can kick the ball a bit. His first touch is awful. He can't pass the ball from me to you away. He's awful. But everyone's going to call him a world star because he's English, just like they did with Theo Walcott. Hype him up and praise him. And before you know it, this guy will be on the scrap heap. He'll be another one of those players that was, he had all the potential to do something. Instead of actually coaching that guy, getting him to do and work on the things that are fundamentally flawed in his game to make him a world-class player. As much as I hate him, I think actually Raheem Sterling's focused a little bit on that. He's been useless. As he was growing up, you can see he was useless at finishing, useless first touch. He could run the ball a bit, kick the ball a bit. His finishing's got better. Now, you can argue, yes, he gets more chances to finish, but overall, his finishing you can see it is getting better. His first touch is getting better. You can see it's purposely working on those things. And, it might be the rondos and the way that they warm up at the beginning of Man City and they do their content, which, I'll cover in another video. But overall, it's someone's actually putting effort into actually making him a better football player, which generally most people don't do at football clubs. Otherwise, they wouldn't have 100% failure rate at all their academies.